just want to start the video to say thank you to everyone who sent me an email. My father died New Year's Eve, a bit of a shock. But we can't let that stop us, can we? Bloody cold down there, which is why I've grown this beard. You can even see water is actually frozen. That's how cold it is. So today, this is something I've been thinking about for a while. Every time I buy screenwash, always buy it concentrate, because otherwise all you're doing is paying for water. You know, the concentrate, it's not that much more expensive, and you can make twice as much out of it if you do 50-50. Obviously, you can, in the summer, you can concentrate it a little bit less and get more out of it. What I normally do is I'll buy concentrated screenwash. I'll pour half of it into an empty container. In case you don't know what an empty container looks like, come on, beard. Empty container. Now the issue is, you leave it too long, and somehow mold starts growing in it, and you don't notice it, and you throw it in your screenwash, and next thing you know, your squirter's all blocked up. Come on, beard. That's better. I'm presuming now that it's because obviously there's stuff in the water, and even whatever they put in the screenwash. Because I'm sure screenwash used to be some sort of alcohol of some sort, and it's probably some cheap shit now. And whatever there is in the screenwash isn't enough to kill the germs. So things start breeding in it. So you've got an option. You can start putting a little bit of bleach in it if you really wanted to. Probably not ideal for the paint. Instead of pre-mixing it and leaving it to one side and then finding out it's gone mouldy, I've thought about instead, if we got 2 containers, one full of concentrate and one full of water that you can fill up as and when you need it, and then have 2 tubes going into a Y-piece and then into a self-priming pump. Presuming that works, you could then have a hose that you can put in, set the pump going, and then it fills itself up 50-50. The other option, if you don't want to pre-mix it, is you have to guess how much you're going to put in, throw some in, and then top the rest up with fresh water. Not ideal. So I got a cheap self-priming pump, which claims 5 litres a minute. Not a chance. Got myself this is for a Milwaukee M12 battery. That's a 12-volt pump and suitable silicone hose. I got clear because I want to be able to see the fluid. I didn't want to get PVC hose, even though it's cheaper. The PVC is a bit too rigid. So I think the first thing to do is let's actually see if it is a self-priming pump. Right, got the hose in. Got the hose connected. I've unplugged this side so it can actually pump through, and I've got this connected to that. So hopefully when I press this, it should start making a noise and it should start drawing liquid up through the hose. Oh! Well, yeah, okay, that works. Right, there's one issue with silicone hose. It tends to pick up a lot of dirt, unlike PVC hose, but it's nice and flexible. All right, so we want enough hose that it touches the bottom, comes out to be able to join to a T-piece where the 2 fluids will mix. So that seems about okay. I'll put all the links in the description if you really want to build your own. This is only it's all stuff from Amazon. I think the pump was like less than 10 quid. You can use any battery, but obviously I've got the Milwaukee batteries, so I've bought the connector. This is 9mm ID, 12mm OD, I think, because the screw-on caps are 12mm, so it needs to be able to go in there. It's this part that actually clamps it against the pump. So now I know that is 12mm, and these obviously need to go into there, so I need some 12mm holes in those. Right, there you go, drilled the holes, and the hoses go through it quite nicely. Now you don't want the hoses pulling out, so best way to stop them pulling out, obviously zip ties, special Evolution ones. So I'm going to put this in position, screw it in, put the pipe down so I know it's touching the bottom. You can feel where it touches, and do your best to put one on the inside. Okay, so that's now captured in there, so it's not going to pull out. Repeat on the other side. When you drill the holes, make sure it's not too tight because you want air to be able to get in there to replace the liquid as it's coming out. So we've got those. Now, one thing that's worth doing is don't leave the ends of the pipes dead flat, because if they happen to touch the bottom of the container, they can suction themselves on, and then obviously you're only going to get fluid out of one side. So it makes sense to cut a design in the end of the pipe where it won't happen. I think the standard one is it's like a V shape. There you go. There's no way that's ever gonna. Oh, there you go. It's never gonna have issues. Now we just need to connect this part. So now we've got the mixing part of it. That's easy enough. Now you need to decide: are you going to have the pump near the base? Because obviously, when you pump, this is going to mix and fill up. And when you've finished and you turn off, whatever you've got after the pump is going to be filled with mixed fluid. So the closer you can get this to the end, the less fluid you're going to waste. So as long as it's not too heavy, you could create a little handheld pump part with a little switch. You know, it's a bit awkward, but it doesn't really matter. Or you can create a little base where both of these slide in, this connects to it, and have a bit of pipe that's just about long enough so it goes into your filler tank. Okay, I filled them both up with water, added a bit of pink dye. So we need to see whether or not it takes the same amount of fluid from each one, at least a sensible amount from each one. It doesn't have to be exactly 50-50, obviously. Now, once you've got yourself primed and the air out of the system, it sounded a bit better as well. And that's the flow you're getting, so it's not too bad. Yeah, well, can't complain about that. Right, great success. Now, obviously, the issue is you do tend to waste a lot of the fluid that's remaining in here, but you can always drain it out, I suppose. There's a possibility it's less likely to go mouldy in the tubes. I don't really know, to be honest. You can always try and flush it out, I suppose. And if you've got it all disconnected, see what happens when you apply power then. It's actually quite effective. It seems to pump air as well as it pumps fluid. Yeah, if you had an air valve around here somewhere, just before you get filled up, you can open it up and it bleed the air from there through the pump, clear the tube, and the rest of this would drop down back into the containers. I'll have to look into that. That's an idea. I found a plastic box that it all fits in quite nicely. It's still a bit of a mess, obviously, because everything needs to be bolted down. And ideally, you'd want some sort of switch, which you could run the wires up to the tip here and have a little on-off switch. Now, I do need to look at getting an air bleed there so I can purge the pump. Let's be honest, is it ever going to look any different to this? No, of course it's not. Apart from maybe a switch. I mean, you could actually make that look quite nice. You know, if you've got a bit of MDF, you create a box, you know, these two slide in separately to each other. Big handle comes over the top so you can clip your hose to, mount that. It could look nice. If only I had some MDF somewhere. And the patience. Unfortunately, I seem to be missing the patience. That's exactly how it's going to look. It's never going to look any different to that. As I was tidying up, I came across a switch I used that I was going to use but didn't. Door exit, but it's push to make. So I thought you could quite easily put that into a box and have it as a floor pedal. That way, you haven't got to mess around with the switch, literally. So when you finish, you throw it in the box and you're done. When you need it, you take it out, press it, and then all your fluid starts flying out. That sounds rude. That's definitely the way to go. Of course, you can get proper floor switches, but they tend to be a bit more expensive and larger. So up to you.